Hello everyone, Fanta here, you're watching FANTAVISION, and today I'm going to be discussing whether or not it is worth buying the Xbox Series X or the Series S or any of the Xbox Series systems at all. Now, it's been 3 years since these systems have come out, and I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, is it worth buying one finally? And I'm sure there's also a lot of other people that are wondering, is it still worth buying? Like at all? Like, was it maybe worth buying in the beginning, now not so much? Let's take a look at it. Let's just jump in, dive into what has happened over the past 3 years, where the state of Xbox is now, and whether or not it's worth it. So let's start off with the controller. Now, the controller is shockingly similar to the Xbox One console. Now, even during that generation, it went through a couple of different phases, and there's slight changes between the different controllers. Generally the same shape. This is less indented now. It's now flat and flush with the controller. There's a share button that I've never used. The controller really didn't need a whole lot of changes from the Xbox One to the Series. So I'm glad that they didn't change a whole lot between the two different systems, because if something isn't broken, you don't need to fix it. And a lot of companies need to learn that. One thing I really do love about this controller, even though it doesn't have the same type of vibration accuracy that the PlayStation 5 controller has, it still does have very accurate vibration. It has different motors throughout the controller, so it gives different feeling for different things. It doesn't have the cool trigger capability that the PlayStation 5 has, but just the general feel of the controller, this is still my favorite controller to just hold and use. In fact, this is what I use when I'm playing on my computer for different games that just feel better with a controller. I also love the fact that you can change the well, there's no batteries in this, but you can change the batteries just popping off the back. This is revolutionary in a world where batteries are built into everything for absolutely no reason. But I just want to say I love the Series X and Series S controller. Phenomenal. Not a huge upgrade from the One, but still an upgrade nonetheless. Now, something I want to address with the Series X as well are the small quality of life improvements that we've definitely seen between the One and the Series systems. The speed at which you can start playing the game is so much faster, it's ridiculous. Especially if you have a bunch of digital games and you're just hot swapping between them. It's crazy how fast you just swap between them. I love that they did that. Now, this doesn't work perfectly with all games. Skyrim will just, over time, if you do it too many times, will just start destroying the game in various ways. The frame rate will start getting all crazy. NPCs will start acting weird. There's a lot of things that will just break the game. I don't know why. I don't know why Quick Resume would do that. That's the name of it. That's the marketing term. Quick Resume. I don't know why that would happen, but it's Skyrim, so I guess it's not really that surprising. So Quick Resume isn't perfect, but I love the fact that it exists, because for most games it works perfectly. And if you're just swapping between a couple of games frequently, and those are your main games, you're going to constantly be opening them quickly. And that's great. You jump right into the game, right where you were. It's kind of like a save state for a lot of different games. And I love that about Quick Resume. Another thing, of course, that Microsoft has done on the Xbox is Game Pass. Now, it's not just on Xbox, of course. It's also on the PC, which makes the fact that if you are a PC owner like me, you're just getting double the benefits, because you're getting those games on PC and Xbox, and the games that are on both a lot of times will have cross-platform saves. And that just blows my mind that I can do that. I can be playing on my computer, decide I want to go lay down and play on my Xbox instead, and I can just pick up from where I was because of cloud saving. That's amazing. That's so cool. And then if you buy a game digitally on the Microsoft Store on your computer, and it's also on the Xbox, congratulations, you now have it on both. So you only have to buy the game once. I would love for Sony to do something like that. Maybe they could have it so when there's a game, you can have your own PlayStation Store front. Now, the app does suck, I will say. The Xbox app does suck. But it's worth it if you can do that cross-buy capability. Anything that benefits the customer in that sort of way, thumbs up. Speaking of Game Pass, the Game Pass is still a phenomenal value. Game Pass it's going to keep going up, I'm sure. The price is going to start creeping up at some point, But for now, Game Pass is still a great value, especially with all the different companies that Microsoft is buying, and they're going to be putting those games day one at launch on Game Pass. And that right there is saving you $70 a pop. So if you're getting like 4 or 5 games a year, and most of them are companies owned by Microsoft already anyway, then you are essentially getting Game Pass for what you would get for just those games, while also having the ability to try a bunch of new stuff without having to commit to immediately buying something. While we're talking about games, I have to bring up the fact that there are once again little to no exclusives on the Xbox. In fact, if you look at games that are also on PC as not being exclusives, the Xbox has 0 console exclusives that I know of off the top of my head. I don't think they have a single console only exclusive on the platform. And that's intentional, because Microsoft wants to release everything on PC and Xbox, because they are PC and they are Xbox. So it makes sense. And again, it is a pro customer move, because if you buy it digitally, you get it on both platforms. And let's just say you want to own a PC and you don't really want to own an Xbox, you have that option. So you could argue that kind of takes away the reason to get an Xbox, but Microsoft has been doing something crazy recently, and that is pricing the Xbox Series X down to ridiculously cheap levels. $350. I have seen the Xbox Series X at $350 numerous times. I've seen it lower than $350. I think at one point, the lowest I saw it for was $328. Let's put this in perspective real quick. At launch, the Series X was $500. So that's a huge savings. The Series S was $300 at launch. That means if you were able to get the Series X for $350 or $328, that means if we're looking at launch prices, you're only spending $28 to $50 for a much more powerful system that also has a disk drive. That's mind-blowing. And I would be hard-pressed to find a computer configuration that runs games as well as a Series X for that price. At $350, that is just a steal for that powerful of a system. And when you look over at the PlayStation 5 camp, they're selling like hotcakes. I have not seen it dip down below, I think $450 was the cheapest I saw it, and that's including a $50 gift card for a specific store. So it was still $500, but it came with a $50 gift card. So the cheapest I've seen it as of making this video right now was essentially $450. So for $100 cheaper, if you're looking at between these two systems and you don't really have a preference, there's no amazing game that you have to have on PlayStation only, and you're just looking for a gaming console, that $100 difference might make it or break it for a lot of people. That's really gonna be pushing people one way or another. And with the addition of Game Pass and things like that, and the fact that it's, again, backwards compatible, I know PlayStation 5 is as well, but it goes back to original Xbox. It's not every original Xbox game, but the Series X, that's the thing. The backwards compatibility component of this system is still another phenomenal thing to talk about. You can play Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X games. And that's what you want to see. I never understood why there wasn't backwards compatibility with every single console every single time. In my opinion, that should be the norm. If a computer can do it, why can't consoles? I'm still kind of curious to, the answer to that question. Why is it so difficult to have every single game work on the newer systems? I don't know why they're making them that way, why they would make it difficult for the next system to be able to play the older games. But the fact that it has that backwards compatibility to so many different games, to so many different systems, means when you buy a Series X, the library for that thing is massive. It's huge. You have so many things to play. And that is also true for the PlayStation 5. There are lots of PlayStation 4 games, and there are lots of PlayStation 5 games. So the library is very big for that as well. But the fact that the Series X reaches all the way back to the original Xbox, again, it's not every game, but still, the fact that it can do that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy, and I'm always going to give a thumbs up to backwards compatibility. I'm always going to give a thumbs up to things that preserve history. Also, going back to price real quick, I have seen the Series S for $150. $150 gets you into, I would say, almost current generation gaming. Because, Series S is a lot less powerful. You're not going to be getting 60 frames per second on as many games as you will the Series X. The resolution might take a hit. But if you're looking for a cheap system to just jump into gaming with, $150, that is insane. You pair that with Game Pass and you have a massive library immediately. And that's awesome. I love more ways for people to be able to get into and enjoy video games. In fact, I just bought a Series S for $138. That's right. During the holiday season, I got it for $138 from Walmart, and it was a Christmas gift for someone. So that's great. That's awesome. The fact that I can give someone the gift of gaming for only $138, that is insane. And there are going to be so many families out there that can't normally afford the latest and greatest consoles. This is how those kids can get into the next generation. Now, I don't really play my Series S a whole lot. I kind of bought it for a video, and now it just kind of languishes in dust. But I have it in my living room, so it's just another Xbox that I have that I can play my Game Pass games on. In fact, also, you know what? I say that it just languishes in dust, but I have brought it with me on vacation because it is so small. The Series S is a very small console that you can just throw in with all your clothing, and then when you get to the destination, you hook it up to TV. Congratulations, you now have your Hulu, your Netflix, your HBO, and your Game Pass games. You have your entire entertainment system in this tiny little box that you can bring with you, and that's awesome. I wish the Switch did that. Why didn't the Switch do that? Another thing I do need to talk about with the Xbox before I come to the conclusion of whether or not it's worth buying an Xbox is the poor performance and quality of Xbox first-party titles. If you look at what has happened to a lot of the long-running and amazing series and developers that come from great pedigree, what has happened? It is just a sad state of affair. Gears of War, I mean, does anybody care about that series anymore? I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm genuinely curious. Do people still play that game? Because I don't know anybody that plays Gears of War anymore. It died on the 360. I don't really know that many people that play Sea of Thieves. Like, people will pop on for like a little bit, they'll have fun, and then they're just kind of off now because it's a decent game. It's entertaining, but when you think of Rare, you think of, wow, GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie and Perfect Dark and just all these amazing games, and then they just kind of got bought by Microsoft and died. Look at Halo. Okay, Halo Infinite, I would argue, has had a comeback when it comes to quality of the game and the number, the amount of content in it, but the number of players has not recovered because of how badly they botched that initial launch. And the way they do monetization is still crap. And the fact that almost every single Microsoft first-party release is riddled with microtransactions is also a big negative to their games, in my opinion. And then, if we look at the launch of Starfield, I mean, that is now a Microsoft-owned, first-party, Microsoft exclusive, and look how that turned out. It feels like they've kind of just been rehashing the same thing, the same formula, just with a different skin for a while now. So it was incredibly disappointing to a lot of people, including myself. And I know I made a video about how, oh yeah, they're right, after the first 12 hours it starts getting great. I haven't picked up that game in a while now, because of various different things, and I'll probably make a video about it. But the fact that their first-party games have just been so meh is another thing that you could look at before you buy the system. I mean, you could be looking at PlayStation 5 and going, man, they got God of War? What the heck? They got Final Fantasy? They have the Horizon series? I mean, if you like those games and those type of games, you can't play those on Xbox. So that would be a reason, like, you might take a pause for a second and go, I don't want to buy that system because PlayStation has those games and I want to play those games. And that's a very reasonable conclusion to come to, because there are exclusives on the PlayStation. And I guess, Starfield is an exclusive on Xbox and Halo is, but I mean, they're not the heavy hitters like PlayStation has. But, I mean, I would argue that the first-party games on PlayStation have also kind of languished a bit. What has Naughty Dog been up to besides canceling their multiplayer version of The Last of Us and then remastering The Last of Us 2 and then remaking The Last of Us 1? I mean, it's like they're just wasting time over there. And then they bought Bungie, which is Destiny 2, which even the hardcore fans have grown to hate. So it feels like, you know, even the first-party titles over there are kind of just, I don't know. It's a very sad state of affairs when it comes to first-party and exclusive games to the different consoles. I mean, both of the consoles, I would say, not really a momentous time for exclusives. Momentous time for gaming, yes, but momentous time for exclusives, not so much. So let's wrap this up before I continue to ramble. Is it worth buying an Xbox Series X or Series S? Let's go ahead and answer both of those different questions, because I would argue that that's two different questions. Is it worth buying a Series X? If you can get a Series X for $350, I would say yes. The fact that it can have backwards compatibility all the way to the original Xbox gives you that massive library. If you have an Xbox One already, congratulations, your games are just going to be loading faster, and you can already play those games on the Series X. Now, if you have an Xbox One, maybe you could make the case that it's not entirely worth upgrading to the Series X yet, because there aren't really exclusive games only on the Series X quite yet. However, I would argue if you want that power boost, which is the only reason to be looking at a Series X to begin with, since you're looking at, should I buy a next generation system? If you're already looking, then I would say yes. Loading times, quick resume, all of that just make the gaming experience so much smoother. I booted up my Xbox One the other day, and it felt like I was just watching grass grow, paint dry. I mean, even the initial startup takes so freaking long. And in an age of solid-state drives, there's no reason to wait that long for anything. So just loading times made it worth it for me. On top of that, you're getting frame rate and resolution boosts, and there you go. So I would say it's worth getting a Series X for those boosts and upgrades. Now, if it's over $350, I would wait for it to drop. Because once a product hits a lower price, the likelihood that it's going to be that price again is drastically increased. So we've seen it for $350. I have a feeling we'll see it for $350 again. Would I say it's worth buying for $400? I think I would still pick it up for $400. I would have a hard time buying it for full price now unless it came with a bundled game. Speaking of cheap prices, is it worth buying a Series S for $300? Hell no. Hell no. And I said that from the beginning. I've said that over and over and over again, and I've pissed a lot of people off in my Series S video about was it worth buying for $300? Was it worth buying in general? Because I picked that up for $200 about a year ago. Probably more than that now. And now we've seen it for $138 is what I bought another one for. So we'll see it in that $150 to $200 price range. And I would say in that price range, it's worth picking up if you have any semblance of interest in getting Game Pass. If you're looking to just play games on a subscription and you don't care about disc-based gaming, it's definitely worth it because that is cheap. And if you want to upgrade later to a Series X, I mean, you only spent $150 on the thing. It comes with a controller. Controller's like, what, $50, $60? So it's, what, $100 system? That's like nothing. It's $100 for a gaming system that not only can play everything that a Series X can, but you can also bring it around with you. And you can also make it so you can emulate games on it. That's right. You can go into the developer dashboard and you can make it so it can play and emulate retro games. So even if you get a Series X later on, you decide you want to upgrade, you're tired of the frame rate dips and all that sort of thing that might come along with a Series S, or I guess not frame rate dips, but the lower frame rate that you're locked at, you can get a Series X and you'll still have a usable console to not only play the games that you're already playing on another console, but also you can turn it into an emulation station. So there you go. I'd say it's worth buying an Xbox, especially at these lower prices. Initially, I was kind of on the fence about whether it was worth buying a Series X when it first came out because it wasn't going to have any exclusives, and it was just a more powerful Xbox. It was like, okay, this isn't super exciting, but now that I've spent more time with it, I truly see the value in it, and the fact that the price has gone down, the value is even higher in my book. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you have a Series X and you like it, let other people know. If you decided to not get a Series X, let me know. Let me know your thoughts on the system down below. Of course, like the video if you guys liked it, subscribe for more content, and as always, have a fantastic day. See you, everybody.